Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Erich McElroy. Starting soon. Streaming live on the internet.
And I think you said you're going to test that too.
We did test it. Yeah, it works sometimes. Starting soon. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Erich McElroy. Starting soon. Doing online shows.
For much longer than I would have liked.
Suit yourself. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Erich McElroy. Starting soon. From their tidied up offices.
And then I see the disinfectant.
You do not want to know what happened in there before. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Erich McElroy. Starting soon. Answering the questions from
you, the people of this country.
If you email them in comics@somenews.co.uk or tweet at Mr. Stephen Allen or at Erich McElroy. In Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Erich McElroy. Starting soon. Starting soon.
In a minute. 1 minute.
Well, maybe a bit longer than a minute, but soon. Soon. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Erich McElroy. Starting soon. The web show we started because we were out of work.
And it is still true.
All right, don't rub it in. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Erich McElroy. Starting soon. Using their expertise to solve problems.
You're going to have to use medical doctors with.
No, just two comedians talking rubbish out of their face holes. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Erich McElroy. Starting soon. Lockdown 2020, giving Stephen Allen.
Hello and welcome to Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Erich McElroy. Welcome to our twice weekly show. I don't know if does that make us bi-weekly? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
Never work out what that is. Is that twice a week or every 2 weeks?
Twice a week. Well, no, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we're not fortnightly, which is a word I learned when I came here. It doesn't matter. We're on twice a week. This is the first day of this week that we are on. We're very glad to be here. as the name of the show says, we are comics in quarantine solving problems. And it should have a little subtitle that says, because we have nothing else to do.
I can make that.
Because we are a non-essential, according to official government guidance. Yeah. So it's myself and Steve. We look at the day's news. We solve problems, and we can solve your problems if you want to message them to us during the show. We are happy to tackle those and have a look at them. And we're just very glad that you're joining us. And so, let's get into some news, Steve.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm sure you may well have a take on this as well. Send the comments wherever you find them. I think the big news is probably the fact that Leicester has been locked down. New restrictions come back in because apparently Leicester had something like 1/10 of all the deaths in the UK, and it's not 10% of the area. I should say early doors on this. I'm from Nottinghamshire, and Nottingham and Leicester, bit of a rivalry. Not in the same way that we hate Derby, but, there's a bit of a rivalry there. So I might be slightly, I might accidentally end up saying something about Leicester that I shouldn't. But I do feel for them. I feel sorry for them for many reasons. One of them including the fact that no one really knows where it is, so no one's going to care too much. I spent the day watching the news, and so many times I've seen people being interviewed on the news, basically like this.
Leicester? Who's he again? Oh, the place. Yeah, it's in the north of... No, it's in the south. Are you sure it's not a jockey?
But so I feel your pain, Leicester, because I'm from the East Midlands, and here's the weird thing about the world, is that the East Midlands, no one knows where it is, even though its title is East and Midlands. It gives you the coordinates in its title, but no one knows. No one knows for some reason.
It's very confusing.
So the big worry is that people are going to go from Leicester to places like Nottingham, and they're going to try and use the restaurants there because they're not meant to. They're not meant to be going out. I don't think that's going to happen, Eric. You'll be glad to know, because people from the East Midlands aren't very good at hiding their accent. My sister, when she was still with us, bless her, had the absolutely best telephone voice to sound all posh, and it always gave way. So all that's going to happen is some of these Leicester people will turn up to Nottingham restaurants, pretend to not be from Leicester, walk in kind of, "Hello, Governor, I am a Cockney from the London. Good evening. Could you give me beverages and also food?" And then the waiter will be like, "Here's the menu." And we're like, "Tarduk." So,
sounds like my English accent.
Yeah, that's when you do a very good impression. For the people of Leicester, you're probably very aware of this right now. This is the map of... And there's another thing about Leicester. Look at some of the place names. I mean, Blaby, Narborough, Groby, or Grobby, who has no idea. I mean... If you're worried about going into Birstall, well, here's the strange thing when you look at that map, that people in Anstey up the top could travel into Spain and back out again more easily than they could from Birstall. And actually, brief side point on that, I'm not believing a word the government's saying about all of this lack of quarantine for certain countries. Side story, when I was growing up in Mansfield in Nottinghamshire, my first job was in Kirkby in Ashfield in a factory, and when I worked there, the old blokes there did the classic prank, right? On my first week, they sent me to go and get things like a bubble for a spirit level, glass hammer, left-handed screwdriver, and I did it because I didn't know any better and I felt silly. So now when the government talks about air bridges, wasn't born yesterday, Boris. Nice try. But back to the map. So the strange thing going on here is that people in, let's pick one, like Narborough on the edge, people living in Narborough could have one street that's under quarantine and another street that's not. That's going to cause riots and whatnot. But it's not as bad if you're listening in Leicester, and you might be because you've got nothing else to do. You're not allowed out. It's not as bad as this town, which straddles Wales and England. The same town has half the town that's English, and the pubs are allowed to open. Half the town that's Welsh, and they can't open their pubs. A town that is literally half cut. So that's the state of play at the moment. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The rules are ridiculous. I'm finding it confusing, and it's not impacted me at all. What's your take on all this, on all that's been going on with the lockdown?
Well, I don't want to get official on you, and I don't want to use language that's too sophisticated and technical, but basically looking at what's happening in Leicester, in part of the UK, just a little bit up whatever motorway it's located on, no one quite knows. It's somewhere near Narnia, as you stated. And looking at what's happening in the U.S., which I keep a close eye on, I think we are, what's the right word for it? We are fucked. That's what we are, Steve. We are totally and royally fucked. We're not going back to work anytime soon. The rest of the country is going to be in lockdown. I'm going to be home teaching my kids forever until I can't remember how to read anymore. So basically, we're screwed. So happy days, guys. Good luck with everything.
Good times. Okay,
Yeah.
happy vibe.
Yeah, happy vibe.
To answer your question, it's the blue one going up there is the M1, and you know what's terrifying for stand-up comedians? Even if they bring back gigs, Leicester Forest East Services is within the lockdown zone. So no, if you open up, I'm not going there at all. Some of the comments coming through on this, a couple of evenings from people. Hello, yes, thank you for saying hello on the message. Wherever you're watching this, drop us a message. So look, bi-weekly means both twice a week in the UK and every 2 weeks, as they don't know what they're talking about. I guess that's in the US.
Boy,
probably.
careful there.
Because you don't have the word fortnightly, as you said.
We do not. We do not have that. We've got every other week.
That does it, yeah. That's
how we say it.
good evening, Eric. Looking more Kier Starman tonight. You're looking secure.
Look for that. Yeah, you're going more Jeremy Corbyn, aren't you?
Well, there's a message lower down. Does that mean that Steve is growing a Boris beard? Maybe if he gets unruly and then I stand upside down.
Yeah, don't you wish you had the boar's hair?
I'm not sure, actually. If I had hair like Boris, I might pluck it out. And your bladder, Leicester Forest East Services. The Leicester lockdown area includes the M1. Hold your breath as you drive through. And the hold your bladder because the Leicester Forest East Services. They're not the best services, but we could do a separate podcast about how.
Yeah, we could have a whole chat on that. Let's not get into that. Yeah, and also thank you very much to Chris for our first contribution of the night, because he's been kind enough to buy us a drink, which you can do on the little linky dink. The little linky dink, because if I just said, with the lockdown, especially if you're on the comedy forums, I mean, comics started to get excited when they saw the pubs were opening, and you can just see the despair that is going on those forums. I mean, we're supposed to be cheery, happy clowns, but it is Kier of the Clown people. So if you're enjoying the show and you'd like to buy us a drink just to give us hope, because the pubs are opening on Saturday for now, that is very much appreciated. You can do that, and thank you to Chris for doing that today.
Lovely. More of your comments still to come through then, so on Twitter, wherever you're watching it, all of that. So we also cover the news over here, and we go further afield, Mr. Eric.
We do, and we dominate a lot of time on here talking about Trump. I know we got some stories about him coming up, but there are other elections happening in the United States. Did you know that, Steve?
No. Who? What?
Yes.
Hey, what?
Well,
Who?
I know. We're re-electing some people in the Senate, and we're putting up the entire House, which is the lower chamber. So there's 400 and, I've forgotten now how many. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of them. Running, and I think it's good for us to take a look at some of those more local elections, something else that's happening, and get away from all Donald Trump and his divisive politics. So I thought here's a nice one. Here's a woman running. Her name is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
President Trump declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. I have a message for Antifa terrorists. Stay the hell out of Northwest Georgia. You won't burn our churches, loot our businesses, or destroy our homes. I'm Marjorie Greene, and I approve this message.
It's very subtle, Marjorie. But I'm pretty sure, Marjorie, that no one wants to go to Northwest Georgia. It's just the other side of Leicester.
Oh, is it?
So, yeah, just go up the M1. Now, she's very anti-Antifa. She doesn't like Antifa, which means she doesn't like fascists. She's anti the people who don't like the fascists, right? That's what anti-fascist is. And then if you look at her final clip there that she showed, she's also said that she's against socialism. So she doesn't like the anti-fascists. She doesn't like the socialists. So I think, Marjorie, that makes you a fascist.
That is some crazy logic. Yeah.
Is that, I mean, she doesn't like the anti-fascists. She doesn't want to be a socialist.
Yeah.
What's left?
Is she going to have to attack herself at some point? This is going to end up messy.
It's going to be bad. Now, she's not the only one running, obviously. Obviously, it's easy to go out there, like find some I don't want to call her wacko, some nut job. But there's a guy who's running. He happens to be Republican, but he's also a surgeon. And here's his ad.
I'm John Callen. I operate on brains and backs. Helping President Trump defend our God-given rights is not brain surgery. But deranged Democrats and weak Republicans just don't get it. I can't give them brain transplants or a stiffer spine. but I'll help President Trump build that wall, protect our values, and stop Nancy Pelosi from ever getting her hands on this. I'm John Callen, and I approve this message.
That's one way to deal with the coronavirus, isn't it? You get your AR-15 out there and you shoot it. Because how do you deal with the coronavirus, Steve?
Me, I deal with it, for people who've seen previous episodes, I deal with it like this. I stay alert, because I wait for it to attack, and when it does, whoopah!
Look at that. You don't need a gun. You don't need a gun. There's so much to unpack in that ad, isn't there? I mean, can you imagine NHS doctors having guns?
No, that's terrifying. There's so even the way that he says, "I operate on backs and brains." Like, oh, that does not sound technically enough for you to go near a person.
That sounds more like you're gutting a fish. That's not. Doesn't make me feel like. I mean, the only good thing is if he's that gun happy, at least if somebody's going to shoot me, which I'm not encouraging, I want it to be someone who can put me back together again.
Is he just making work for himself? That's what you'd have to say to. Yeah, you're only making work for yourself.
Things have been a little slow around here. Hold on, honey.
Wow.
I'll sort that out.
You're from a terrifying people, Eric. You're aware of that.
I know. So there's loads of those because there's, like I said, 438 races for Congress. I'm gonna see if there's a few more of my fellow Americans running, and we'll run some more ads as we carry on.
Excellent. So more of those in the future weeks. Subscribe and stuff so you can keep watching this wherever you're watching it. Click a bell or something on YouTube. I don't really. The young folks say that. Some messages to get through. Ellie says, "Hi, this is great. Best thing not on TV and better than much of what is on TV. News, just news and more news." It's quite news heavy. Fuzz says, "Hello from a Worksopian, Steve." Sorry, you're from Worksop. Worksop, this is an East Midlands thing going on. Like the rivalry between Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire and Leicestershire, but then Mansfield to Worksop. Ooh, I mean, that is a race to see who's not the best, and I don't know which one would win. But hi, thanks for watching. Technically, I'm from Sutton in Ashfield, not Mansfield, before it gets too tasty.
Looseness.
Yeah, Ed says, is Leicester Forest West okay? 'Cause I was saying the Leicester Forest East services, I will not. It's in lockdown, so I can't stop there to wee. Ed says, is Leicester Forest West okay? Mark says Leicester Forest West is just a copse of trees. I'll take a slash there. I mean, to be fair, if it's a built-up urban area, I'll have a wads around there as well, because, when you're desperate, you're desperate. Marjorie looks like she could start a fight in an empty room, says Chris.
Yep. She'll have a gun.
And then here's a question that we can deal with later, an actual problem. Fuzz says, Steve, Eric, how do I stop next door's cat doing its dirty wee jobbies in my garden? We'll ponder that.
I'd say you could take it to the Leicester Forest East Services, but that's not possible right now, is it?
You take it to Marjorie. I get the feeling she'll see it off. just put the cat in front of her and go, it's Antifa. It doesn't like fascism.
Yes. So I've caught up on those. Thank you very much for some people who've bought us a drink, which you can do on the little linkage down there. Thank you to Annie. Thank you to Stephen. We very much appreciate that. And if you want to keep those coming, it gives us hope in these dark times. And also, you can subscribe. I think the most subscription, if you can do, to the YouTube channel, because the doctor there, I've already forgotten his name, he has 22 subscribers on his YouTube channel. So his campaign isn't going very well. But I don't want to make fun of him because he might kill me. But we do have more subscribers than that, Steve.
Do you want to know who else we're beating while we're getting all showy-offy?
Oh, yeah.
A big name, but not on YouTube, on Twitch. Twitch is a platform where people do gaming, so you can do like live stream your gaming. People watch other people playing computer games. So you'll see the computer game screen, little box of them, and it's sometimes referred to as like esports, which is a grand title for the laziest thing you could do. I mean, it's pretty lazy to sit on your ass and play computer games, and this is watching people do that. So this is really the bare amount of calories being burnt. Watching people playing computer games is what I had to do back in the old days when I was stood there holding my 10p trying to get to the front to play Street Fighter. Not Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter. They had a Brit in there. 10p, yeah. Put your 10p in. Double Dragon, I could complete it every time. But... so we're actually on there as well. We're on Twitch. We do this live. We stream it there. We've got 14 followers. Ooh.
Woo!
Now who's doing good? Then we're beating so on because this was in the news this week. Twitch suspends Donald Trump's campaign account for hateful conduct. Why did it take you that long to work out there might be some hateful conduct in there? But it does mean he's not on Twitch anymore, so we're doing better than Donald Trump is on Twitch right now.
Yes.
Nice.
USA.
I was kind of surprised that Donald Trump was on Twitch, because it's mainly a gaming platform. And then I saw, because you can do different categories. We're on talk shows and podcasts. There's just chatting and the different games. And there's Call of Duty. I was watching Donald Trump play that earlier.
You know, I shouldn't really be playing this. I've got bone spurs. Very bad bone spurs. The worst. If I lose, it's all a setup. Vladimir? Sorry, I think that's my boss. I gotta take this.
So, the true story. And it's not the only story that's been talking about Twitch this week. This is probably my favourite news story for ages. Man sues Twitch for showing so many scantily clad female gamers he injured his penis.
Ooh.
So what he did, he's suing them because he was watching people play the games, and sometimes they were so attractive that he just couldn't resist, you know, spanking the old man meat. And he's suing Twitch for chafing, I think. Now, there are so many things wrong with that. Firstly, how do you not know what you're doing? How old are you that you've not learned how to do that without sustaining an injury yet?
Yeah.
God, man. Just calm it down. Just don't worry, don't sue, but wait until you get older and it just happens less. Or I thought maybe we investigate this to see if Twitch really is a little too sexy. So earlier today, when we were prepping for the show, I took some screen capture of actual people going live on Twitch. Let's see if you think these are too sexy. Here's a woman who is on. Nothing sexy there. It's just a woman. I mean, she has called the video "I wore a dress for you" oof. But it's just someone chatting. It's like a call centre. Why are you getting turned on by that, you weirdo? There was this lady who seems to be rolling around on the floor near the padding from the Apollo missions. I'm not quite sure. We've all struggled to try and get the lighting right in these home videos.
Maybe we're wearing the wrong thing, Steve.
There is. Hey, come on. No one's wearing the wrong thing when you've got to tie this floral. There was also this lady who was doing yoga in the just chatting section. So I'm not really sure what she's chatting out of, but there's nothing. Why are you going to get turned on by someone pushing their pelvis up and down? So I think this guy he's crazy. He's sex obsessed. Although it is true to say there are some things on Twitch that are so sexy, no one's going to hold back from getting turned on by things like this.
We kind of packed a lot into
Oh, damn, look at them.
Exactly.
Damn, they're so hot. And I'd also like to draw your attention to the 0 views that video got.
But basically, so we saw the problem.
We are doing well. So you can follow us on Twitch. Add to that 14 subscriber base we've got going well. And don't worry, it's no Donald Trump there. You can also follow us wherever. Some comments going through on this. Mark says he broke his joystick. Oof. Oof. Let's have a look. Fuzz says, comedians approve feline slaughter. Got it. Cheers, guys. Great. They're never going to work again. Thanks for that.
Oh, no.
And Mark says, I've watched live Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch with celebs. It was fun. So there you go.
Great.
It's not all push-up bras and us.
Yeah, what were they wearing, Mark? No, never mind.
Don't forget, there was that clip on Twitch that did show that cracking pair of boobs.
We kind of packed a lot.
That one.
Hey,
just thought of that.
Proper jokes.
Yep. barely proper jokes. We've got more messages coming through on Facebook as well. We'll do those in a sec. Keep them coming through, and if you'd like to get us a drink, it would be very much appreciated for our efforts. Yes. The link's down the bottom.
Yep, there's some more that have come in there, so we appreciate that. And subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can do that. Right. Well, you're talking about Trump on Twitch. He's actually kind of had a rough week on Twitter. And it hasn't been, I mean, he's always tweeting a lot of crazy things. As things go a bit mental with he's behind in the race, things aren't going very well with COVID-19 at the moment. Trump has sent a lot of things that people could interpret as being racist. Let's be honest. And that's because they are. Here's part of a video that he retweeted from someone else's tweet this week.
Racist! Yeah, you got it! White power! Yes, there you go, white power. You hear that?
We heard that. very subtle, just shouting white power. I mean, I'm not quite sure what he's trying to convey there. Now, he actually deleted that tweet. That's how this actually did have an impact. And he's not alone out there. And when you say something like that, you really need someone to come forward and defend you from racism. And who better to defend someone from racism than Nigel Faraj?
Donald Trump's a very instinctive person. He sees things, he hears things, he tweets about them. And you could say, well, maybe he should have researched it, maybe he should have listened to every word, and perhaps he should. He's made a mistake.
Perhaps he should. He's retweeted people shouting white power. That's not a perhaps.
He should have researched it. Look, as I say, he's an instinctive person. He sees things, he tweets them, he moves on. In this case, he has made a mistake. There's no question about that.
Is he racist?
No.
Great pause.
No.
Great
Is he
pause.
racist? Is he? Fuck. No. No. He's just a white supremacist. No. Nigel looks like he's in witness protection in that video. I don't know. I mean, Nigel's basic defense there, if you unpack that clip, is that Donald Trump isn't racist. He just retweeted it without knowing what it said. So he's not racist. He's just stupid.
Oh, well, that's good.
Which is fine. You'd think, all right, fine. He had some blowback from that. Donald Trump, he deleted the tweet. Maybe he realizes he's done something wrong. And then, just a little while later, he sent a tweet that featured this lovely couple. Now, this is a couple who were defending their home against some Black Lives Matter protesters who had, to be fair, it was a gated community, and they had gotten through the gate. I think they did break through the gate, and they were on their way to the mayor's house, because nothing says I'm a mayor who cares about my community than living in a gated community where your neighbors are armed. And so they were walking past, and the couple was scared. And so they ran out of the house, and I mean, nothing says intimidation like bare feet and a pink shirt. We've got a still there. I mean, I saw that. I'm like, wow, this new Bond film's going to be shit. There's so many. I mean, he's holding. I mean, both of them. I just they don't have their shoes on. I mean, they were able to get their guns on before they got their shoes on. That's insane. And the way that she's holding that gun. It's just, she's like, I'm a little teapot. Look at that. Short and stout. Knock me over and I'll shoot you out. So, yeah, those are my people, Steve.
I remember seeing that picture and thinking War of the Roses were back on ITV2.
It has, I mean, the only good thing to come of this is no one was hurt, thankfully. And that picture has become a heavy...
No one was hurt because she can't aim for shit.
She can't even tie her shoes, for fuck's sake.
The biggest thing at risk there is local bird life.
I mean, if you go on Twitter, so many people have taken the piss out of that couple. I would imagine, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to take the piss out of them because they're armed. But
this is why you can't pick on anyone from America, because they're all armed. So you're going to struggle.
Everyone we've shown today from America's had a gun. Oh, my God.
I pick on people from Leicester, and they can't even travel to get me. That's right. That's why, because I'm thinking. I'm planning.
You're planning it out there. So
on that, then, Colin says, is it true that Trump followers demand the removal of Rodin's The Thinker because apparently it represents a threat to their way of life? Very good.
Don't point it out to them.
Very good.
They will.
On the Leicester topic, Stephen says, won't people in Leicester just go out for a meal on the OK Diner to the A1? Good point. If you don't use the M1, you could use the A1, because not only the weird thing about the A1 around that part of the world, as you go through, admittedly, like Bedfordshire and up there, they've got sex shops by the side of the A1.
Sorry, I didn't catch that road. What?
The A1. I don't know why, as if anyone's going to be driving away from the north, heading through Leicestershire and thinks, forgot me love eggs. Well, if you have, you can buy them in all the sex shops through there. Stephen also says, you're doing a better job than Trump on Twitch and a better job than him with running America. Thank you. We try our best.
Try our best.
Barry says, evening, Steve and Eric. Big shout out to you, Barry, from Barry's Views on YouTube.
yeah, wherever you're watching this, you can send us a message. You can track us down on Twitter as well, at Mr. Stephen Allen, at Eric McElroy. And if you've enjoyed any part of it, sink a pint in our direction. The link's down the bottom.
Definitely. And also, if you're watching us on it, we like to see what devices you're watching us on as well. Yeah. So if you want to take a picture, send it in. We've had some people send us their TVs, their screens, whatever it is. We don't want to know what you're wearing, just what you're watching.
Yeah. Actually, you should send that money really quickly, because I'm about to depress you by telling you there's another virus coming this way. So if you wondered how long are we doing this show for? Could be forever. Flu virus with pandemic potential found in China. It's in a pig. You see that headline and you think, oh, come on. We've not even done with the one we're currently in. They are releasing these things more often than iPhones. Give us a flipping break. Why do we need another pandemic? Who was at the meeting when they planned out 2020? Let's start off with burning a lot of Australia and then really ramp it up with a global pandemic. Let's have some racial tensions and protests throughout parts of the world and terror events in the UK. Still not enough. More pandemic seems a bit samey. Yeah, but it's a classic. Go for it. This is the world we're living in. So, look, I want to put your mind at rest. I don't need to worry too much. So, I'm joined now by someone who actually is an expert on diseases that we can spread to humans. Hello.
Hello, Steve.
So, what's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what's going on. For years, the pigs were the go-to animal for some sort of disease that could spread to humans. They've started the Spanish flu, and we all remember swine flu. Now, the birds tried with their avian influenza, but I think we all have to agree, in 2020, we bats reign supreme, and the pigs are simply jealous and trying to get in on our act.
This is a headline that's worried some people, though.
I wouldn't worry at all. You need to realise this is the desperate attempt at a comeback. This is like Sean Connery in Never Say Never Again, or most of David Hasselhoff's work. So no, I wouldn't worry if I were you.
What if it turns into a deadly influenza?
If it is a deadly influenza, the pigs have released it at a time when most people in the world are staying at home, washing their hands, and wearing face masks. So those pigs are idiots.
Thank you very much for joining me. That's a bat with strangely big eyes for a blind animal. There we go.
You've got way too much time on your hands.
This is the spec. Look, if you want to earn a pint off people, you don't get special effects with a live stand-up comedy gig, but flipping CGI on this. Already on that, Fuzz says the arts fund, and they say arts funding is a waste. Exactly. Send somebody around here. I'll sit and talk to myself as a bat all day.
We don't qualify for arts funding because stand-up comedy apparently isn't an art.
No.
So, but they haven't seen that, have they?
Not the way we do it.
Oh, good Lord.
Some comments coming through. Anacita says, I agree, 2020, not my favourite year. Yeah, I mean, there's no way it could pull it. It would have to be amazing for the second half to swing it back round. It's truth. Let's have a look. Ellie says, 0 views. Reassuring, maybe on Twitch. Yeah, well, we're not sitting around playing a game. I did threaten to get an old phone and sit here playing Snake just to try and get us more views on Twitch. I don't think it'll work.
Not bad. Love
the guy was playing Snake. That's why he ended up suing Twitch. Hey. Let's have a look. What else we got? Could be. Oh, we're talking about the guy who was touching himself whilst watching Twitch. There's some comments here. I'm not even sure I can get away with it. There's been much more of a joystick. Hey, there will be much more joystick abuse, Mark. And Mark says, better than seeing someone's joypad. I don't know what the difference would be in this euphemistic connotation.
I do like the fact that our viewers are starting to heckle each other. So that's nice. That's nice to see.
Before we move on, Stephen says method animation. Yeah.
Ooh, look at that. New award at the BAFTAs, I think.
And Barry says, I knew those eggs tasted funny. Don't buy eggs on the A1. No. If you'd like to buy us a drink, if you'd like to do some arts funding, the link's down the bottom.
Definitely. We do that. Appreciate that. Keep your drinks coming. And we do cover stories that you send us. And we actually, Steve, we got a story request from one of our viewers, actually. And I don't know if I've seen him in the chat today, but he did send us this. We've got it here, is the headline. He tweeted this to us. It's official. Not enough sex can kill you. So that's a good story to know about. And we thought, was this a real story? So we went online and we had a look. And we found the actual headline. There it is. It's official. Not enough sex can kill you. Having too little sex increases the risk of heart attack by more than 2.5 times, scientists have warned. I like these kind of scientists, let me tell you. But we didn't notice that when it was, I think, Bishop who sent us the story, when we looked in a little bit further to when this story was published, it was back in 2012. So, I mean, if that's where he's at reading his news right now, I hazard to tell him the things that have happened since then.
He's going to love the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, the Olympics, he's going to find out, he's going to shock when he finds out who's president. He's going to find out a shock when he finds out who's prime minister. I don't even want to tell him about Dave Bowie and all the other artists.
Oh, no, yeah. Imagine him to relive 2016.
Exactly. I mean, and so much. But yeah, so at least he gets to see the show and find out. That's another story. I think it's important to cover the story. Apparently, having too little sex increases the heart attack, again, by more than 2.5 times. Little sex leads to sudden cardiac arrest. You know, you'd think having sex would be the thing that would knock you out. I think the reason you have cardiac sex when you're not having cardiac sex, that's a different problem. Cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
When you're not having sex very much, is that every time you actually have sex, it shocks you and you have a heart attack.
It's such a surprise.
Like, oh my God! Oh, that's a happy face. No, it's I can't believe it. It's clearly the couples that have been married a long time. So, as I said at the beginning of today's show, while we're in lockdown, feeling a bit fucked, but not as fucked as I'd like to be.
I got some more bad news for you as well, because there'd be some ways around this. Like you could visit a shop on the A1 because they got all the sex shops. Sex dolls. But there used to be the opportunity to go to various sex festivals that happen in the UK. However, here's the news story. Sex festival won't go ahead because you can't social distance at orgies.
What?
I love that story so much. Because they've only just recently decided to pull the event, because up till then they were like, no, I reckon we could probably organise this.
I mean, they pulled Edinburgh like 3 months ago. For fuck's sake. I thought, no, it'll be fine.
I mean, maybe you could social distance at an orgy. I've never tried it. Interesting.
Not if you're doing it right.
What we can do to find out more, I'm joined on the line by an organiser of the event. We should be able to... Took me ages to make that picture. We should be able to be joined on the line now by an organiser of a sex event. Hello.
Hello, sexy. Steve. I mean Steve. Hello, Steve.
So what's the problem? Is it just like difficult to organise?
Well, we looked into it, and that was all we could do. You know, couldn't reach it, can't get near it. So what's the point?
Right. Is the problem like all the rules and restrictions?
Not all of the rules are a problem. I mean, face masks. A lot of our members wear those all the time. And PPE for those of our members who like dressing up as nurses but really care about accuracy. You know, they've been doing a lot of that anyway. It really is the 2-metre rule that's been a problem.
Oh, but I mean, it's not 2-metre rule anymore. It's 2 metres or 1 metre plus.
Even for the most well-endowed man, 1 metre would be quite a difficult distance to span.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Have you ever thought, though, of doing like we do? We can't do live gigs, so we've been doing shows on the internet. Why don't you do your sex festival on the internet?
Oh, I don't think they do a lot of sex on the internet, Steve. I've never checked, but no.
You should have a look at the internet. I get the feeling there's going to be quite a lot of things you'll like.
All right. No, I'll have a look after we finish this. Yeah, I'm sure there won't be that much there for me.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. A man there who will probably never leave the house again, and that helps with COVID. So, yeah. Sorry. Fuzz has replied already to that and just said, Dad? Oh, dear.
I mean, yeah, if he ends up on Twitch, that's it. It's over.
The chafing.
It's going to take up yoga.
The level of chafing, it'll be like watching Tom Hanks on Castaway start that fire. I'm not going to mime it out.
No, don't mime it out. Maybe the guy who was suing Twitch, maybe he's using the disk drive the wrong way. Computer's still...
I feel like I should do the joke about floppy, but I mean, that is so old.
Yeah.
Who the...
We'd have to explain what floppy disks are. So, yeah. Well, I've got some videos on porn. Anyway,
let's have a look. Before we shift out of here, let's have a look. The risk of RSI goes through the roof. Could not have had a tantric orgy. Yeah, well, they have done. They've delayed it till next year. Mark, he's setting us up. We're knocking them down. Loving it. Nice. There's so many comments to try and get through on YouTube tonight as well. Let's have a look. This pandemic is going to be like Fast and the Furious movies. There's already 19 of them, and I must have missed the first 18. There's a previous clip on our YouTube if you'd like to find out why it's COVID-19. Interesting.
We explain everything. We explain everything on the show.
Yeah. There's a link that Ellie sent through. Wants to hear our thoughts on it, but we can't open the links. We'll do that on Thursday show at 9 o'clock. Yeah. We'll discuss that one, unless it's a hideous story that we don't talk about.
Yes, and because we're getting close to out of time for today. So, yeah, we are back on Thursday at 9, British Standard Time, summertime.
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 I know it's not much of a summer, but don't rob us of that.
But I realized that because I had some friends in Ireland, I didn't want to send them an email to say, oh, it's not 9 o'clock British summertime, because it's the same time in Ireland. So for the Irish, it's GMT +1.
Right.
That's the nice way to say it, I think. So,
so we have to call it GMT +1 because Greenwich is not at all British.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's just less in your face, isn't it? It's just a little bit more subtle. So yeah, we're on every Tuesday and Thursday. So do check us out. Tell people about the show because it does stay live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and stuff. So if you enjoyed it, feel free to share it and send it around. Feel free to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which if you just Google, we've got our own branded page now, Steve.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. Oh, yeah, it's Comic Solving Problems because we thought we'd be out of quarantine by now. And so check it out there. And, yeah, you can chuck us a few quid. And otherwise, any gigs coming up before Thursday?
Of course not. No. Tomorrow I will be sitting around the flat in shock after today's. And then on Thursday I'll start writing for Thursdays.
Talking to animated bats, I would imagine.
Yeah, and then what's wrong with the animated bats? I'll also we're out of fancy floral ties, so it goes downhill from Thursday show. But also, we didn't even mention I trimmed the beard.
You trimmed. Nice. I didn't. I've shaved. I've kept shaved the whole time. But I mean, this is getting just. Woo!
You're not brave enough to just all off.
No, It's my commitment to this crisis that I am never going to cut my hair.
Okay, and we thank you for your service.
That's all I could do. It's got, I could have volunteered for the NHS, but I thought, just grow my hair out.
Brilliant. Right, so Thursday, 9 o'clock, get back here, share this show, subscribe, and all that thing we've already said. Until then, have a good one and goodbye.
Goodbye.